And welcome to another Cardinals Nest. This is the sports show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. My name is Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative, and I'm joined by my co-host, Donny Nadeau, our award-winning Hall of Fame sports information director. And our guest today is men's soccer head coach Corbin Bowers. And Corbin, I introduce Donny regularly, of course. And now I get to say Hall of Famer. I forgot to do that last week, and I was kind of kicking myself last week, but it's kind of nice to be on with a Hall of Famer, isn't it, Corbin?
Absolutely. Wise man with Donny.
And I also know Donny doesn't like that introduction. So, Donny, I won't do it every week, but I had to this week. So,
being a Hall of Famer never gets old, but after a while, it's good to just kind of go back into the woodwork and just be the SID again.
Yeah, we'll let you do that, but it is an honor we like to recognize. So,
thank you.
So Corbin, our men's soccer coach here at St. Mary's, you're off to a great 2-1 start. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this is the first year that you're starting up a fall season coming off of a spring season, right? So maybe talk about the oddity of that.
Yeah, it definitely was unique. There have been pros and cons to it. I think the biggest things is a lot of our returners were able to jump into our style of play and be fresh with that or understand it a lot sooner. And when we had to really worry about teaching it to our freshmen or our new players, and our guys' fitness level was very good overall. So in the spring, we left match fit instead of pretty good base, and they were able to maintain that over the summer. So, and luckily enough, no burnout, which is great too. They were happy to be back and playing soccer again.
You know, Corbin, you mentioned that they came in great shape, and to me, that really says a lot about the commitment of your athletes, because there have been times, and probably even when you've been coaching, that your athletes maybe don't come back in the tip-top shape that they should, but when they do come back as they are this year, and you can tell just from watching them, it's got to kind of show you that they were dedicated in the summer and prepared themselves to make sure that this year could be the best it could be.
Yeah, I know for us, one of our main core values is accountability, and it's great to see that actually happen and not just preach it to the guys. And a lot of the stuff that we base in the classroom, on the field, and the community is based off of accountability. And that was very important that they go home and train right away and keep that high level fitness. And for it to shine through and the players demonstrate that shows that what we're doing is working.
Corbin, in a non-COVID year, when you typically don't have, team meetings regularly in the spring or practices and things like that, how would you normally communicate summer programs to your players? And then how much easier was it to do that this year?
Sure. We are able to send it out to them, and they're able to ask us questions. So that was the same, but I think you just really have to push the accountability a lot harder in a normal year, a non-COVID season, and making sure that you give them all the details to succeed. So we send them a suggested calendar. We send them a lot of suggested exercises, and this year was easier because they had either done the exercises or they trained with us and they knew the expectation. But like I said earlier, every year we get better at this, our fitness scores go up. And so you just see gradual progress. And the guys understand that if we come into good shape in preseason, we can jump right into playing soccer and not have to do non-soccer ball conditioning.
Corbin, in kind of going off of that, talk a little bit about, because this year was so different, and you did get to play in the spring. Can you kind of talk to people that may not know how a normal spring goes for you? You did get to work with your players, but only for a certain amount of days, and really you never really play any games during that time. Whereas this last spring, you had 5 actual games in the springtime.
Yeah. So in a traditional spring, we would be allowed to train with them for 5 weeks. We typically wait until March and do the last week of March and the 4 weeks of April. We can meet with them 3 or 4 times a week, and we're limited to a certain amount of hours as well. So each practice is about 2 hours long. We're allowed to meet occasional meetings or individual meetings and team bonding and all that. But overall, you're getting maybe 30 practice sessions in with them in the spring. And to do a lot more and do closer to 60, 65 last spring on top of 5 games, 2 scrimmages, was really good for us. Maybe in a normal spring, we would focus more on development and skills, but in this spring, it was about competition and playing games and kind of continue to grow in our conference.
So how about as you get to the fall, you finally get to, I'm sure everybody was just chomping at the bit to get back and actually be as normal as we could possibly be. How long does it take your freshmen to kind of get the hang of everything that you're talking about? I know you get a couple of weeks of preseason, but how long into the beginning of the season does it take before they're finally comfortable with their roles and you just knowing your systems?
Sure. I'd have to say it's unique to each kid based on the different soccer backgrounds that they have. And we have some guys that come from pretty elite soccer backgrounds and they've had an easier time transitioning to it. The guys that are maybe from that mid-level soccer, a little longer, just with how detailed we are at the college level with our tactics. So it just kind of depends on the background they've had with club and high school soccer. Typically, I'd say 2, 3, 4 weeks to where now we're into that 4-week point, right? Pretty close right now. And most of the guys are understanding and we're just sharpening good habits or trying to completely erase bad habits. So I'd say that first month is crucial that guys pay attention, are switched on, and really focus on what we want out of our system.
I have a similar question to the one Donnie asked, but really geared more to the coaching staff. How long, with the start of a new season, I mean, you're adjusting to a new team. You've got some new freshmen coming in. So how long does it take for the coaching staff to adjust to the makeup of the current team, how it might be different from the previous years and new strengths and new weaknesses and trying to see where different players might best fit?
Yeah, I think, we're trying to constantly grow and constantly improve our team. If I had to directly answer your question, I'd say it takes the 11 days that we had of preseason, where after our first 2 scrimmages, we had a better idea of where those guys fit into our roster, the roles that they could play, the multiple positions they could play. And then it's just in the regular season, continue to mold them and fine tune them into what we want. And then we'll look at our needs at the end of the season. And maybe there's a player who played as a right back with us and we want to polish him into a winger. And we might take the off season, the spring, to do that. But I would say it takes all of preseason to figure them out. And then we get to polish them into what we need as the season goes on.
Well, Corbin, let's talk about this year's team. And I know that you were actually in my office earlier this afternoon, and we were talking. You've got players from all over: Florida, Alabama, Norway. Just talk a little bit about your recruiting philosophy. Where are you looking for players? Where are you going to find these guys? And then, how do they all mesh together here in Winona, Minnesota?
Sure. We cast a very wide net in recruiting, and we go to a lot of national showcases where we see teams from all over the country. So it's super important that we find guys that are a right fit for our playing style, our culture, and our team expectations. And for us, it doesn't matter if they're from Florida or if they're from Minnesota, as long as they fit us. And then when they come to visit campus, they fall in love with what we offer and they fall in love with what the program's all about. So that's been our strategy, is going to a lot of national events where you see the best teams from all regions and just kind of sifting through that talent of what might fit St. Mary's. And one of my favorite things is how well we mesh from all our different backgrounds. Myself, having lived in multiple countries and visited a few, I think it's super important that we open up the worldview of our players and expose them to guys from different parts of the country, other countries, and different backgrounds. And it's created a pretty unique culture where I feel like our guys are learning a lot about each other each and every day. They're learning about guys from different religious backgrounds, different countries. And we just feel like we're a more well-rounded team and have a worldview with our eyes more open, if you will.
Corbin, do you see that as maybe one of your strengths as a head coach, is because of your international experience, your ability to help players adjust to a new setting and maybe a new culture if they are from a different country?
I think so. When I was a student athlete, I, even as a sophomore, junior, senior, was in charge of helping some of our international students transition into the team. And it was a little different at Anderson, where we would help them set up phone accounts, bank accounts. A lot of them lived off campus, so mattresses, furniture, all that kind of stuff. And there were a group of us that were kind of in charge of helping that. And I've brought that into coaching, where I want to make sure that these guys coming from 11, 12 different states all feel at home when they get here. And can I help them feel as comfortable as possible during the recruiting process, during their visits? They trust us and they want to travel across the country and play for the program.
Corbin, talk a little bit about this year's the makeup of this year's team. You've got a really a great mix of just about every class, and I guess start with your upperclassmen and what they bring to the table, and how important it is that that they kind of take the underclassmen under their wing and kind of show them the ropes.
Sure. So our seniors are the second class that I recruited to St. Mary's, but probably the first class that I was able to spend a whole recruiting cycle with. When I took over, had to rush into recruiting the guys that graduated last year. But the 5 seniors we have now are part of that, what I like to call that first full class. And 2 of them are captains. They play a lot. They've been involved with heavy minutes from their freshman year. So I think they just kind of eat and breathe our program in and out, and they know the expectations from the coaching staff, and they do a great job of filtering that in to the rest of the team. One of my favorite things that I say to the guys is culture or team dynamics is 365 days. And what I mean by that is we want to work on our culture every single day. Sure, we might have a good culture today, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to be great tomorrow. And those 5 seniors truly understand that, and they do a great job of influencing everybody else. And that trickles down. Juniors are the same way. They've had experience with it, and our sophomores and freshmen are learning a lot about our culture day in and day out. But I'm definitely thankful for the 5 seniors and the lot of time on the field and on our culture that they've put in and invested.
Do you look, Corbin, do you look at this group, and really maybe it's every group, but there's times where the freshmen and sophomores are actually the ones that kind of step up and lead, maybe not so much vocally, but but by their play and say, hey, you know what, we're a team of 11 guys on the field at the same time. Doesn't matter what year you are. It's what you can do on the field. And do you see that with some of your younger guys?
I do. And I think we talked earlier in preseason about very different styles of leadership, and one of those being leading by example, and that is a role that any class can take up. A freshman can lead by example and knows the expectations and can do that on the field, and we do see that. The guys that are hungry to earn minutes and are doing exactly what the coaching staff is asking of them. And so it's great to see that because it's contagious. If a freshman's doing that, then I think it holds our upperclassmen to a high standard, and they have to follow the same expectations as well.
Well, speaking of high standards, you're off to a 2-1 start, and that was after losing the first one to Dubuque 3-0. But I was talking with one of your captains, RJ, and he said even in that loss, so many good things happened in that contest, and a lot of good takeaways from the only loss up to this point of the season.
Yes. So in playing Dubuque, who we think will probably be one of the top teams in our region, we really wanted to test what our team was made of. And to be honest, we didn't have the best first half, and Dubuque took advantage of that. But we played very well in the second half, and just were unfortunate not to score. And maybe cliche, but soccer is a 90-minute game, and we kind of wasted away 45 minutes where maybe the result could have been different. But we learned from it, and our guys walked away knowing that we have to compete in every single match, and we took away some great things from even that loss.
And Corbin, your 2 wins, Edgewood and Martin Luther, both at home. Talk a little bit, or tell me how it felt from a coaching standpoint, and I'm sure I had to imagine the players too, to play in front of a crowd. Sure, you got to play some matches last year at home, but there was nobody there. Talk a little bit about playing in front of really a very well represented fan base in both of your home games.
Yeah, it was great to have a 12th man or have some energy from the crowd and actually hear people cheering for us, goals being celebrated, teammates being encouraged, and it just created a special energy for both games. We had an afternoon game, and we had a great turnout on Saturday, and on Monday we had a night game, and we had again another great turnout. And it definitely helps. Like, guys are motivated; they have like an extra incentive to play for. They know that their family and their fans are there, and we want to make a good showing for the university and for the program.
And let's talk a little bit upcoming. You've got one more non-conference game before you conference play. You've got Simpson on Saturday on the road, and then you head to Carleton. Carleton's going to be a very good team in the conference. How important are these 4 non-conference games as you prepare for the conference? We always talk about the conference is what really matters, but how important are these 4 games, and what do you expect to get out of them as you prepare for that conference opener?
Yeah, we spoke about this as a team yesterday. Our non-conference games help us establish good habits in our playing style. And even if we are significantly better than our opposition, or even if we have a poor first half, we need to really focus on good habits for those meaningful conference matches. And it puts us in positions where we learn a lot about our team. How do we respond when we go a goal down against Edgewood and then bounce back and win? How do we respond when we didn't compete at our best against Dubuque, but then had a great second half? And so we learn a lot of lessons through these non-conference games, and Simpson will be another very tough challenge, but I truly believe it'll prepare us for 3 Mayak games in a row.
I know wins and losses in soccer, especially, they come down to inches sometimes, fluke things like that. But Corbin, how good can this team be? On paper, it strikes me as one of the best teams we've had in a long time.
Sure. We have a lot of depth. We have a lot of key returning players. We have a starting lineup that's very familiar with each other, and we have great spark off the bench, guys that we call spark players. And I think it's we live up to our expectations. We've told the guys a lot this year that there's a lot of rumble around our team. There's a lot of people talking about us, but we have to perform on the field and live up to those expectations. So is this group going to come together? Are they going to face adversity head on? And if we can do that, I think we're in a special place where we might be able to make some history this year. That's our goal. That's something I think we're very capable of. It's just a matter of us doing some things we've never done before to get results.
Corbin, I know it's only 3 games in, but what's been some of the biggest surprises, pleasant surprises through these first 3 games?
Yeah, I think the ability to use a lot of our players and our depth has been surprising. Guys have stepped up. We've had a couple of small injuries, and guys have risen to the challenge of filling in some big shoes. We've scored some great goals as well, some good combinations, and scored some great goals. And so I think those would be the main highlights. And there's been some individual performances that have pleasantly surprised us as well.
Okay, I gotta ask the question because everybody wants to know: is there ever going to be a time this year that a penalty kick is called and you will not have Eli take it?
He would have to not be on the field. And I was asked about this earlier in the week, and Eli does a great job of practicing it. And I think penalty kicks are a skill, just as free throws in basketball. And Eli spends a lot of time practicing his penalty kicks, and he shows me that he wants to put the team on his back and is prepared to do so. And he's able to make them consistently. He can shoot to either side, and he's very accurate with them. And so unless he's not on the field, he'll continue to be our penalty kick taker unless he wants to give one up.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to give one up. Just for those who are watching, Eli has scored the last 6 penalty kick goals that St. Mary's has had. So the guy has proven that he can put it in the net. Now he's proven he can put it in the net no matter what. But it is pretty amazing to watch him. Just PK is called and Eli is right there ready to go, and nobody's even questioning it. It's like, go Eli, go.
Now, Donnie, next year you will be able to ask that question.
Yes, I will.
And he might have a different answer, Eli being a senior this year. So,
Corbin, you've got so much balance offensively and defensively. You mentioned some you've been able to play 2 goalkeepers. Daniel and Jacob have both done very well. Your offense has gotten production from a number of different people. Is that balance something you expected this year?
I think so. As we built the team, we wanted to make sure we were strong all across the field. And, when we looked back at things, we noticed little trends, and the top teams in our conference, the top teams in the nation don't concede a lot of goals, and they find a way to score goals. So we wanted to kind of mimic that. Now, it's going to take some time for us to reach that level of quality, but if we could establish those good habits of conceding 1 or less goals per game, having the ability to score 2 or more goals a game, that puts us in a position where we can succeed this year and qualify to conference tournament and make a run for it. But it does require balance. When we talk to our team, we talk about group defending and group attacking. So while we have individuals that shine for us and help us in special moments, what I like about this team is that at the bare bones of it, we all want to defend and we all want to attack.
Well, Corbin, I know you're only a few weeks in here to this fall season, but you've got experience from other years. Spring weather or fall weather? What's your preference now that you've had a season in both?
I still have to choose fall weather. My pet peeve with the spring, and it's very nitpicky, I guess, is that it was extremely windy, and every day our setup for practice, our balls, our cones would fly away, and we had to set it up again. So, but I enjoy the fall weather, and it's still being slightly warmer.
Yeah, slightly warmer until the end of October when you're all wearing winter attire and
Fair enough.
Corbin, talk a little bit about the upcoming conference season. I know that you are well versed and pay attention to what's going on. Of course, everybody knows that St. Thomas is no longer in the conference, but we've added St. Scholastica, one of the best soccer schools in the UMAC when they were in the UMAC. So talk a little bit about St. Thomas's exit and really adding St. Scholastica to the mix.
Yeah, I think it brings an even higher level of parity to our conference, where in the years I've been here, we get down to the last day and there's still 7 schools that could qualify for 3 spots or something like that. We never get down to the last day and the playoff picture is already set. And that's fun. And I think it'll be even more difficult this year with St. Thomas leaving and St. Scholastica coming in. That just adds another more even game to everybody's schedule. And points are going to be super valuable this year. And I imagine it being a very wild and crazy MIAC season and not knowing anything until that last game is over.
All right, Donnie, any last questions for Corbin before we let him go?
No, I can honestly say that we've got to watch 2 games this year, and it's been incredibly exciting. And I think you really hit it on the head when you said that there are high expectations. You walk around campus and people are talking St. Mary's soccer in general, and and the men's team in particular, and people are excited. And you've done a phenomenal job of putting together a very talented and an energetic team, and I look forward to more home games and getting to watch you guys play.
Yeah, we're excited to have fans back and good support, and I think we understand those expectations. And now the difficult part and the challenging part is to live up to them and take care of the little things that require us to live up to those expectations.
All right, Corbin Bauer, our head men's soccer coach, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck here the rest of the season.
Thanks, Corbin.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.